Welcome into Steelers Latest, your daily spot for all news and information related to your Pittsburgh Steelers. Remember to like and subscribe to the channel if you enjoy the content to stay up to date with everything Steelers. Let's get rolling though. As who are some of the biggest winners from this massive offseason the Steelers have? The Steelers have been making moves left and right, bringing in DK Metcalf, shipping away George Pickens, bringing in Jalen Ramsey, shipping away a Minkah Fitzpatrick, bringing in Darius Slay also, and Jonnu Smith now in that trade package. Uh, so who do I think are big winners in the Steelers organization after all these deals have gone through? First off, clear winner. I think the biggest winner on the team is Joey Porter Jr. He has been our technical shutdown corner the past 2 years, the first 2 years of his career, and now the burden is taken off his shoulders. Clearly, we have depth now in that cornerback room with Jalen Ramsey and Darius Slay. Both of them veterans, used to be shutdown corners of their own. I think Ramsey still has that in him. Darius Slay, more questionable. He might have to fall back to safety if he struggles a little bit at cornerback. But I think Darius Slay and Jalen Ramsey are going to be great mentors to someone like Joey Porter Jr. Once again takes the burden off his shoulders for probably the first time in his career. He can play a little bit more relaxed, and I think we can be due for a breakout season here for Joey Porter Jr. Second up, second big winner, Will Howard. Once again, another guy with a veteran now in his position group. Aaron Rodgers and him seem to already be forming a bond, forming a connection, a mentorship. Will Howard being a great mentee, hopefully will be able to learn some things from Aaron Rodgers. And I think with this roster we've put together this offseason, and with the Steelers so clearly, at least in their opinion, being all in on Super Bowl or bust, it feels like the roster really isn't bad enough to where we will have a top draft pick next year. I wouldn't believe, or at least be in that 15 range at the minimum. I don't think it will be any lower than that. So for Will Howard, that's a positive sign because that means we won't be able to get one of the top QB prospects in next year's draft, which means we might just focus on a position group once again in the first round and not take quarterback until the later rounds, which would mean Will Howard would be set up to possibly get a starting opportunity in his second year if they do go that route. If the team does overperform and have a later first round draft pick, I could definitely see Will Howard benefiting the most from that and getting a chance to actually show his starting capabilities in this league next season. Finally, though, the third big winner in this offseason, Calvin Austin. I'm not completely on board with riding with Calvin Austin, but the Steelers coaches seem to be completely on board with rocking with Calvin Austin. He has a great opportunity this year to really break out. He's slated right now to be that number 2 wide receiver with DK Metcalf on the other side from him. He's not going to see a lot of attention because DK is so clearly the number 1 guy. But can Calvin Austin break out? I'm not too sure. That's why I still think the Steelers need to go out and get a final wide receiver, a solid, solidified wide receiver too. There's still plenty of solid options all out there. I don't think we're gonna go the trade route, but let's get those out of the way. The trade route, there's 2 solid options in Chris Olave. I think the Saints might be tanking next year for Arch Manning. And then you got Terry McLaurin in Washington. They're still struggling to figure out his contract situation. So we have the cap space to sign him to a deal for the foreseeable future. If we're not going the TJ Watt route, that's always a possibility. I don't think we're going to pull off any more blockbuster trades, though, in this offseason. It's already been a hectic one for us. In the free agency, though, who's left? Still a couple big names. You got Keenan Allen, who said he doesn't want to be the Steeler, but Amari Cooper still out there, still always a threat to be 1,000-yard wide receiver. Great veteran presence. I think he'd be a solid option to pair up with DK Metcalf. And then you also have Gabe Davis. There's been a lot of speculation around him coming to Pittsburgh. He visited the Steelers couple months back, maybe a month back, but he visited the Steelers relatively recently. So that's always an option. Gabe Davis is the least attractive out of those four options I just gave, of course. But I don't know why Amari Cooper is flying under the radar for the Steelers speculation. I think he'd be the perfect fit. I think he'd look good in the black and yellow, and I think he'd still provide excellent production on the field. I don't know why the Steelers don't seem to be looking his way. Let's move to the defensive side of the ball, though, as we still need a safety after trading away Minkah Fitzpatrick. Kind of leaves a hole in that free safety position. I know we got Juan Thornhill back there, and I'm fine rocking with Juan Thornhill, but we at least need a little bit more depth at that position. We only have two free safeties on the roster right now, so I would like to add another. And if you want to add one who's definitely starter quality, you got the four-time second team All Pro in Justin Simmons still out there in free agency. I think that would be a great addition. He had a solid year with the Falcons, not up to his normal standards, but he is getting up there in age. But he's still a really solid safety back there, and it'd be a great addition for the Steelers. But if we're not looking to spend that much money, you always have the hometown guy who also played at their University of Pitt and Jordan Whitehead. He's throughout his whole career been a solid, consistent player in the secondary. Nothing too flashy from Whitehead in his career, but always putting up consistent numbers. Never a bad season, but never like a breakout, standout season for Jordan Whitehead. He's the perfect rotational piece if we're just looking to add a little bit of depth to that position room. So I think Jordan Whitehead makes probably the most sense to add at free safety, but Justin Simmons, he's always a great option, and he's still out there. Might be able to get him for the cheap if he's just looking to sign a contract. Now let's wrap up this Monday show with some Monday comments. We got two comments, both talking about TJ Watt. We're gonna see the polarity of this really, as Sean Brown, when I was talking about TJ Watt possible trades last week, how I don't want him to be traded, but here are some options if it does happen. This was how he commented. He said, I call BS on Watt being traded. That be like trading Mean Joe. Not going to happen. I hope your confidence reigns true in this case. I really hope TJ Watt doesn't get traded. As I said, he's up there in the categories of Mean Joe Green, basically, in the Steelers catalog of legends. Now he doesn't have the rings Mean Joe has, but TJ Watt is one of those face of the franchise defensive players that the Steelers always seem to have throughout their history. And I would hate getting rid of TJ Watt, but you never know. This league is always changing, and it seems like player mobility is just going through the roof as the years continue to go by. So I wouldn't be too surprised if we do get that notification one of these days that TJ Watt does get traded just because that contract is he's looking to be the highest paid non-quarterback, which is over $40.25 million, which is a ridiculous lump sum of money. And 70s Blues Bill as a response to TJ Watt wanting such an exorbitant amount. He said, if any Steelers player wants to complain about how good life is and it's all about money, screw off, hit the road. You don't deserve to be a Steelers player. So, 70s Bluesville would want TJ Watt to be traded, it seems like because TJ's being a hassle and wanting so much money. I can understand, though, where TJ's coming from. I can also understand where you're coming from. You're like, you're already getting paid more money than 99% of Americans. Why do you need that extra $4 or $5 million? Let's just get the deal done and get you back on the field and hopefully win a Super Bowl. But that's just not how the NFL works. It's a business when it all comes down to it. And TJ Watt is one of the best assets to have out there in this business because he is always productive on the field. So he is going to cost a pretty penny whenever it comes to contract negotiations times. And that's why it's such a hassle for us Steelers fans right now because we can't control anything. It's all up to the front office to figure out how to get this deal done. And if it does get done, and if it doesn't, what's the next move? Do we trade him? Do we hold on for him for a year and just let him walk in the next offseason? Who knows? But the Steelers front office. And that has been it from Steelers Latest. I've been your host, Cole Dennis, and I will see you tomorrow.